Hi guys, in this video we'll take a closer look at wooden bows and reasons they fail. We'll investigate some of my broken ones, searching for potential causes, but also we'll put to the test one of my self bows to see how much can it take before it breaks. Each bowyer breaks his bows, no matter how skilled he is. Generally the reason is simple. When particular wooden stave can't handle stress coming from the applied design, it breaks. Usually it happens in the crafting process, but when the flaws aren't that significant, it can occur during the use of the finished product. Simplifying it comes to that through three different ways. Due to the poor quality material, due to the improper design, and due to the bowmaker's various mistakes. Each one of these may lead to the failure. Inferior material refers to two different aspects: the species and particular stave quality, which depends on varied characteristics like groove ring's thickness, knots, density, shape, and so on. In most cases these weaknesses can be overcome, but it requires a lot of knowledge and experience. Not all of these can be noticed by the eye too. In the description I will leave links to my videos discussing these and other topics mentioned today. Now it's the time to take a look at the first of my broken bows. It was supposed to be a hollow limb recurve bow, but it didn't go as planned. As you can see, the layer of groove rings on the back has failed. Taking a closer look, you can see these are much thinner compared to the groove rings on the rest of the bow. They contain much more porous wood, which in most cases is extremely brittle. To be honest, I haven't noticed that at first when I was working on this bow, and when I did, it was too late to fix that issue, as I already removed too much wood from the belly side of the stave. The bow has broken during the tillering process. I even managed to string it for a few times. What's interesting, only the brittle wood on the back has cracked, while the wood on the belly bravely resisted the pressure. Now let's move on to the design. It's the crucial part of the bow making process. Applying proper design, you can make a bow out of any piece of wood. But on the other hand, when you go for a wrong one, you can ruin even the best quality stave out there. Proper design should compensate all potential stave weaknesses and be adapted to the particular piece of wood. It also depends on the pandage we are aiming for. If you don't choose the proper one, your bow will be slow or it will break. Speaking about that, let's take a look at another of my broken bows. This aspiring to be a Riddle cyclop bow stave has broken at the most vulnerable spot, a shoot-through hole. The design I applied created such a potential point of failure. But let me explain. Starting a work on this stave, I expected the knot to be far bigger. You probably think that it would be even worse, but when going for that particular design, the big hollowed knot would create a great natural shoot-through hole with reinforced surrounding wood grain. In that case, the knot turned out to be very small, but I kept going for this design, what caused breaking the continuity of the grain. This was far too much for the stave, and it has given up in brutal fashion. There are countless mistakes a bowyer can make building a bow. Two examples I have just described, basing on my failures, are referring to design and a proper stave reading. As you can see, it's all connected. But let's focus on the most common mistakes. In my opinion, these are creating weak spots by removing too much material, bad tillering, not following the grain, violating groove ring on the back. In general, the basic causes leading to these mistakes are either the lack of the knowledge or rushing. And to be honest, it's not wrong to make these mistakes, but it's wrong not to learn any lessons from each one of them. Everyone was a beginner once, and you simply can't skip that part. Now let's take a look at the third example. This time it's not broken yet. This scalloped style short bow was built by me over a year ago. I made it for the Christmas last year. But to the point. Take a look at these thin, barely visible cracks at this spot. These are called chisels, and they appear when the belly of the bow isn't handling the pressure very well. These are typical signs of weak spots coming from bad tillering. The other significant sign is the bow taking set. Anyway, I removed too much wood at this particular spot. As a justification, this kind of bow is extremely tough to tiller due to the unusual taper. Anyways, these weak spots ruined the profile of this bow, and it's a matter of time before it breaks. Moreover, the bow can break also due to the incorrect usage of the finished product. When it comes to that, there are also a few important aspects that, in this case, archer needs to remember about. The bow has to be stored in the proper conditions. It can't be over-dried. The bowstring has to be adapted to the draw weight, and at first signs of wearing out, it has to be replaced. Arrows are also important. They can't be too light for the bow. 10 grains per pound is considered to be optimal weight. But how do bows break? As you can guess, it depends. It depends on the cause of the failure. Let's start with the case of an Ash Molgebet style bow from a few years back. I made it from the thin ringed, very porous wood. During the trillering stages it just exploded without any warning, but with a big bang. What's even more surprising, both limbs has broken at once. It's a clear sign of the poor quality material, which at this point I was unaware of. I was able to take a picture of this event with a perfect timing. I was hoping to make a thriller check, but the result was quite different. You have already seen a few of my broken bows. To show you how does a regular bow breakage look like, I'm gonna use one of my black locust self bows and push it to the limits. I made it over a year ago and it's not good enough to be given or sold, so I think it's a fair purpose to sacrifice it for the bow making science. The bow was made in Andamandan style with wide working inners and stiff narrow outers. This kind of design makes the effectively working part of the bow very short. The bow is 63 inches long and was tailored to the 35 pounds at 26 inches. I decided to put it to the test to see how much can it take. Due to the design and not the best killer, I didn't expect much from this piece. And I was really surprised. The bow has broken at 35 inches. It was 9 inches overdrawn. The point of failure occurred at the fades between wide and narrow limb sections. It was probably the weakest spot of this bow and it didn't supposed to bend that much. As I mentioned, I didn't do best on this bow. I'm gonna end this video with a little riddle for you. You will see two profiles of a bow. I'm curious if you can find out at which point it has broken a few seconds after taking the second picture. Here it is. Can you find the weak point? Pause the video and take your time. It has broken right there. I was fresh aspiring bowyer back then and to be honest I didn't notice that weak point combined with a nasty knot until it has broken. But it happens to all of us. The whole today's topic was much simplified in this video. To cover it fully it would require much more time. Hope you enjoyed it anyway. Thanks for watching guys.